The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has stepped up its campaign against human trafficking and other forms of forced labor in Nigeria. The trade is on the increase globally because of huge profits being generated. According to the International Labour Organization, $150 billion is earned annually by traffickers across the globe. ILO, in its report, lamented that an estimated 21 million victims are trapped in modern-day slavery, with 14.2 million exploited for labor, 4.5 million sexually exploited, and 2.2 million exploited in state-imposed forced labor. Migration expert Emmanuel Okonkwo joins us now to share his thoughts. Many thanks for joining us. $150 billion, that's a lot of money. A lot of money, a staggering number there. Can the world really tackle this issue urgently?
I think it's a difficult problem, but it's not an impossible problem. I think the problem can be, I'm not quite sure you can completely eliminate it. I'm not quite sure you can take it off completely. But I think you can begin to, tackle it stage by stage. You can begin to reduce it. And there are ways to, the thing is that I'm not quite sure some countries have taken it as a national emergency. There are nations that are taking it very seriously. There are nations, especially the Western nations, with their laws. Slavery, human trafficking is for them it's a crime. But down here, our culture, our society, the hardship, people don't, they're not seeing it as a problem. Yeah.
But it's also ironic that many of these Western countries or developed countries come to Africa to establish businesses. True. We have them mining for minerals. True. We have them exploiting for oil, and they engage children who shouldn't be working. They abuse people. We've seen stories in Nigeria where, they kick them. They even kicked a pregnant woman recently, and she lost her baby. I mean, these are people who are developed in Africa. Is the law our problem? Our law, is that a problem?
I think it's more than our law. I think it's how we see ourselves. I think it has to do with the worth that we put on a Nigerian. I've seen it in some of the companies run by Indians, run by Pakistanis. I'm not quite sure that there is enough dignity appropriated to the Nigerian. And if our own, you don't expect foreigners to give you value. Your country has to be the first to put value on you. It's when the government has or puts good value on the Nigerian, and then the investors would follow. But if they come into a nation that looks like there's no respect for the citizens, then there's no motivation. They can't treat your people better than you treat them. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening. There's just this thing that they can treat our people. I've seen it, Nigerians working in places and they're being abused. But this is because the foreigners or the investors, in their mind, you're not even treating your people
So
well.
What should we do about this? I know we have laws, but they're not enforced. What should be done really, for example, in Nigeria?
I think it has to start from a national orientation program. So that something has to, something has to change in the way we see the average Nigerian. So awareness program, the average Nigerian has worth. So that has to start. We had this war against indiscipline one time, and if we put our mind on it and see this as a problem, we could begin with an orientation, trying to change the mind of the government, of people, on how they see people. That's number one. So that awareness thing. The second thing is prevention. We're talking about human trafficking. It's organized crime. If you put the same resources that you put in trying to stop drug trafficking, I am proposing that the same infrastructure that we put in place for drug trafficking can be put in place for human trafficking. The problem is that the Western countries where you have the destination for these drugs will put pressure on you to stop drug trafficking because it affects them. But then when it comes to human trafficking, I'm not quite sure we're putting the same, the same kind of infrastructure to prevent it. So first we need to prevent it. We need to go after the people. It is a whole syndicate. So you're going to go after them the same way you go after people who are dealing drugs. You're going to go after them. So then prevention is one. The next one is rescue. And so you preventing means you're going to go to the source and stop people, tell people this is wrong, they're going to get into trouble. The second thing is rescue. Constantly, Nigerians are trapped everywhere around the world, across North Africa. Is there any plan to rescue them?
And now we have a slave market in Libya. We have an organ mafia operating also.
Is there any form of diplomacy out there? Is there any plan to get them, rescue them, talk to them, even if it's a militia zone? People still talk to these people. Can we rescue them? Can we transact with these people? Can you release our own people? That's the first thing is prevention. Second thing is rescue. And then the third thing is restoration. When you've rescued them, then you bring them back. You have to address the root cause. The problem when you talk human trafficking in Nigeria is it's actually hard to call it human trafficking because the poverty, the definition of human trafficking is that you're using force and coercion. But the people that are being trafficked don't see that way. They want to go. They want to go. So you need to come back, prevent it, rescue the victims, and then restore them.
So much to talk about. Thank you so much for your time. Migration expert Emmanuel Okonkwo, I appreciate you. Rescue them and restore them. Yes. You're watching TV